can't concentrate on the thing I need to do.
All right, sounds good. All right. Okay, so welcome back to Barron's QuickBooks Point of Sale Training. Today we are really going to delve into actually making a sale in the system and the customer interface, you know, selling items out of your retail store. That's why we have retail stores. That's how retail stores make business. So let's talk about the physical act of selling the items. So from the main screen here, we're just going to go into make a sale. Now, one beautiful thing about QuickBooks is they are trying to make it as easy as possible for you to navigate through their software. So we've got this nice desktop here with the icons that if you're used to using cell phones or iPads or anything like that, this looks very common. You've got the icon that you click on, but we've also got these blue buttons over to the side here. You can see make a sale, receive items, item list, which correspond to icons that we have on the desktop. And we'll take it to the same place. And we also have the drop down up top here. So point of sale, for example, new sales receipt, customers, customer list. So you're looking at really 3 different ways to get to where you want to go in the system. You can use whatever you want. They're just trying to make it as easy as possible for someone maybe without a lot of point of sale experience or even a lot of software experience to get where they need to go in the system. So from here, we're going to go make a sale. It's trying to connect the pin pad, and that's fine. We're using a demo version. Okay, so this is the sales receipt screen. So this is the screen that the employees and the person doing the rating is going to see the majority of the time in the system. We can set up security rights, which we'll go into a little bit tomorrow, where you can have employees only able to make sales, not able to look at the item list or create purchase orders or anything like that. But from a usage standpoint, this screen here is going to see the majority of the time while the system is being used. So we've got a sales receipt here. You can see it says scan or enter item information up top, enter customer name or phone number. We've got all the tenders down below. Now, when we talked about setting up inventory, we talked about having different searchable fields. Item name, item description, attribute, size, UPC if you're using UPC, ALU, which is alternative lookup. These are all searchable fields when you're looking for an item in the system. Now, if you were live in a retail store, most likely you would have a barcode scanner, where in this case you would just scan the barcode as your icon was hovering in this box, and it would pull up that particular item based on either the UPC that you're using or the QuickBooks system generated barcode. Every item that you create in QuickBooks Point of Sale, it will have a barcode generated for it. So if you are printing tags out, it'll already have a preset barcode. In this case, because we're using a demo version, not necessarily in a retail store, I am going to just enter information. So I'm going to type in BAR. Now it looks like everything that pops up with BAR is going to be shown here. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. BARON. And if you remember yesterday when we were creating items, we've got the Barron's t-shirt. And I'm going to choose one here. Now, obviously the t-shirt doesn't have a serial number, but when we were setting up items, we said, hey, we want to use serial numbers. So in this case, here is where you enter the serial number. Whether you're using, I know we have like veterinary supplies, vet stores that need to have a serial number on any kind of vaccinations or any kind of medicine, firearm stores, etc. In this case, I'm just going to put in a random number. And now we have an item here. So I typed in Barron's, so B-A-R-O-N-S, and that was the item description and item name. I could have also entered, we've got the item number here, 7351. If I just type 7351, press enter, it'll pull up that shirt as well. Or if you can just type in anything you want. So let's type in H-E, all right. Everything that starts with H-E, just pull one thing up. You also have the drop down, so you can, if you want to scroll through your entire inventory list, you can, and you can even go into list select, which will pull up your item list after a second. And you can decide what items you want to add to your basket. So even if you don't have a barcode on it, even if you don't really know what it is, let's go back to make a sale. There really shouldn't be any reason that you shouldn't be able to find an item when you're ringing it up. Kind of the scary thing about inventory, let me pull up that sheet that we had. Really, the scary thing about inventory is, what do I have? How do I control it? Where is everything? This system really wants you to be able to drill down into exactly what you have, where it is, and doesn't want you to ring up the wrong item. You also have the opportunity within the system, has the ability to have item pictures. So if you want to add a picture onto the item, so every time you ring it up, you can see exactly what it is and make sure there's no mistake. However, if somehow, some way, the UPC is missing, the system generated barcode isn't there, you can't find it when you're searching for it, you don't know the vendor, if there's some way that there's an item in the store that you will never be able to find what it is, and there's someone standing there in front of you saying, I want to buy it, here's some money, we're not going to turn them away. That's kind of the antithesis of what we want to do in retail. So there is still the opportunity to go up here, go to I want to, and you can sell a miscellaneous item. What that will do is actually it'll create a non-inventory item that you can assign a price to. I'm going to say it's $10. And you'll see if this says miscellaneous item. You can always come in here and say missing tag blue. So if you want to be able to reference in the future, or if you find that item later, you'll be able to reference it there. So there's multiple ways to find items: scanning the barcode, scanning the UPC, searching, typing in the SKU number or the item number. There are all ways that you can get the items onto the receipt. So now that we have items on the receipt, we're going to go up here and get the customer information. Now, best practice would be to grab the information from every single customer. This will really come in handy later, like we talked about yesterday with email campaigns, or running reports on where your customers are coming from, maybe a zip code report, something like that. The only way to have that information is to ask for it from the customer. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in Johnson. So I typed in John. We've got Bill Johnson on here. Now, he's not currently enrolled in the rewards program, so we're going to say, sir, would you like to enroll in the rewards program? Sure. All right, let's plug you up. And it's going to add that to that customer. And now we've got the customer up here. The icon here shows that he's a rewards member. It tells how much he has to spend before he gets his next reward, and it's got his contact info. So if you had address, email, etc., it would all show up on here as well. Now you can also create a brand new customer if you want directly from this, or you can look them up by phone number. The system's designed to look up customers by last name or phone number. Now, if you are tracking customers as a company, so you have multiple customers under one company header, you can type in the company name and it'll pull up all the customers that are under that company as well. Okay, so now we've got items on our screen, items on our receipt. We've got the customer here with their contact info. Over here, we're going to take a look at some of these buttons. So cashier associate, you can assign a cashier or an associate to the sale. So if you are tracking, what associate's selling, what items, what their productivity is, or if you're running commission reports and the employees get commission on those sales, you can always assign a cashier and associate. Now, cashier is different from an associate. A cashier in this system is the person that is physically ringing up the customer. An associate in the system is who sold it to them. So if, for example, you've got a sales floor, you got the salesman on the sales floor that's selling the item, and then you just ring it up to the cashier, you can differentiate between who actually sold it and the person physically ringing it up. Here we have ship items. So if you are using the QuickBooks Shipping Manager, this will take you there, and it's kind of a shortcut to creating a shipping label for this particular sale. I'm also going to show you give discount. So if I go to give discount here, what this is it's a quick discount. So if it's a quick 20%, quick 15%, 25, 50, et cetera, you can choose those buttons, or give a defined discount percentage on the bottom. Press close. And you'll see down here, it shows discount. So that applied to discount. Now there's two types of discounts. One is a global discount. A global discount is going to be the discount for the entire transaction, and the other is a line item discount. So let's say, for example, you'll see here this button as I hover over, or as I click on the particular items, it says quantity price discount. You can also assign a discount to the individual item as well. Same like what we had with the global discount, but down here we've got the discount for the individual item and unit price. So I'm going to say discount percentage is going to be 12.5% as well. Now you'll see down here it has the discount shown on the line item, and that'll actually show up on the receipt itself. But we also still have the global discount down here. Now be careful when you're giving discounts. Best practice is usually try to use one discount or the other, because it will double up the discount. So they'll get the 12.5% on the individual item and the additional 12.5% on the global discount. There's also something called price levels, which we went over a little bit when we set everything up, but you can assign price levels to items and customers, which are another auto-generated discount. So now we've got all our items on the screen. We've got our discounts set in place. We've got our customer, and now we're going to take money. So we've got the tenders shown down here: cash, credit, check, gift, and account. We told the system that we are going to take gift cards. We told the system we are going to take checks. You can say, hey, I don't take checks. Uncheck it in your preferences, and it won't show up here as a tender preference. Same with gift cards as well. Same with account. So I'm just going to press cash. Okay, required field not completed. So discount name. So this is one of the preferences that we set. So when we gave a discount, we told it we have to actually tell the reason why we're giving a discount. So here we've got comp, coupon, damage, defect, demo, multi. I'm just going to say demo. These can be, these are all customizable. So if none of these discounts apply, that's fine. I'm just going to say demo because we're on a demo right now. But what that's going to do is when your employees are ringing someone up, it's going to say, you have to tell me why you're giving a discount. And then you can run reports later and say, okay, we gave out X amount of multi-discounts, X amount of demo discounts, X amount of damage discounts. We'll go into tomorrow security rights where you can actually limit your employees from giving discounts or even limit the amount of discount they can give. So in this case, we did a demo discount. Let's go back to ring it up again. We're going to say cash. Now, depending on what they give you, say they're going to give you partially cash and partially card. You can say, okay, they gave me $20, $40, $60, $65 in cash. And save it. It'll show what they paid in cash and what the amount left is due. Now, if I click credit, I've told the system I'm collecting credit cards or taking credit cards. It's going to look for a PIN pad, so it's going to show an error if I do credit. But I do this. You'll see it's going to ask me to sign in my payments account. Now, if you have integrated payments, the screen's going to pop up and it's going to say, please swipe the card now. And once you swipe it, it's going to say, okay, it's a Visa card for X amount. It's going to auto-populate the amount there. If it's a third-party credit card system that you're using, it'll show up and it'll ask you what kind of card it is, etc. Here, I'm just going to take a check for the difference. Okay, oh, checks are not allowed for this customer, so we assigned it that we cannot take checks for this customer. We've got gift cards. You can do card or certificate. So if you want to do one or the other, Intuit does have an integrated gift card program where you can integrate your gift cards, or if you have traditional quote unquote old school paper certificates, you could do something along those lines. Once again, we're not allowing that in the system. I probably should have checked into that before I started bringing this customer up, but no worries. We're just going to go back to cash, and we're going to say exact amount. So I'm telling it they gave me $239.38 in cash. Save it, and I can save and print. If you save and print, it's going to save it in your system and print out a receipt. If, for example, it's a cash customer, they're buying a lollipop, they don't really want a receipt, you can do save only. What that'll do is it'll just put the sale in the system but not print on the receipt. Let's say we've got the customer up at the front, they're ready to go, they're ready to pay, and they go, oops, I forgot my wallet in the car. Can you hold on a second? And there's a line of people behind them. What you can do is down here, put on hold. What it's going to do, it's going to take that sale, and like it says, put it on hold. It's going to press pause. You can ring up other people. Down here, you'll see it says held receipts. We've got the little one icon. We're going to click those held receipts. I'm going to view our list of held receipts. That was ours from today. And we're going to unhold. Give it 1 second. All right, now we're back to our sale. We're ready to bring them up. We're going to save and print. Save only. It's going to ask me if I want to print it. I'm going to say preview. And it'll show me a preview of what this receipt would look like. Now, this is a very generic receipt, probably the most basic version that we have. Tomorrow, we'll go a little bit into doc designs, but you can customize the receipt to look however you want it. You'll notice up here, we've got the store one because we're in a multi-store format workstation. So if you have multiple workstations, multiple stores, you can differentiate where the actual physical receipt came from, where the sale was. Down here, we have cashier. So if there was a cashier assigned, we'd show that. The default is it shows the item name, the quantity, the price, and if there's a discount on there. We've got the size and attribute. So we can change that if you wanted, instead of item name, item description, or if you, instead of size and attribute, you wanted, say, ALU or UPC. We can differentiate based on our doc designs, whatever we want on that receipt. Down at the bottom, we've got reward program reminder. It shows exactly where they are in the rewards. You could also put return policy. You could put the store logo, anything you want on that. And down here, we also have a barcode. So what they could do is, if they came back in for return, and we'll show you in just a second, you can scan that barcode and pull up their previous receipt. Okay, you want to email the receipt to the customer? So that's a built-in function as well. We'll say no for this time. Okay, and now we are on ready to go for our next transaction. Now, let's say, for example, that person decided, hey, this doesn't work for me, I want to do a return. You can be on the same sales screen, and you can accept return. Now, here's when we talked about that barcode. You could scan the bottom of the receipt, and it would pull up that particular, that entire sale. Or you can, so that was receipt number one, so I can enter the receipt number. It finds it in the system, receipt number one. It'll ask you what you want to return. So in this case, we're just going to return that item, and you can add selected items. And now it shows the item returning. You know, it's in red because it's a return. We've got a -1 quantity. It's -1, but it means it's adding it back to the system. It's showing it's a return. It's showing the receipt number, so it references the document that you originally purchased on, and then it has the amount. So we're going to give it back in cash. The customer. I don't need to do a tender because we're already giving it back, and we're just going to save it. Now it's going to tell you how much change to give them. And that is making a sale and making a basic return. Any questions so far? Okay, no questions. We're just gonna move on to some of the other, depending on your store, maybe the less common transactions you're gonna do. So make a sale is the most common. It's the standard retail store. Someone's walking in, grabbing an item, purchasing it, and walking out. There are also some stores that do a lot of special orders, or a lot of layaways, or a lot of work orders. So we're gonna talk about that here. So this icon says customer orders, and we're gonna click on it. And it says new sales order, new layaway, and new work order. Now, sales order might be confusing because there's SOs can mean different things in different softwares, can mean different things in QuickBooks Desktop accounting. So in this case, a sales order is essentially any transaction, any sale that you're making to the customer where they're not taking something home that day. A lot of times it's called a special order. It would be if it's an item that you're currently out of stock on and you need to reorder, or if it's something that you don't carry and you need to order for that customer. So it's something that you don't necessarily have in stock at that time. So we're going to click on it, new sales order. Okay, so you'll notice the sales order looks a lot like the purchase orders that we talked about yesterday. And we've got the SO, gives you a document number, status, it's open. We can do, once again, do associate or cashier, same thing. And here we're going to add an item here. Let's do this. Okay, so what this is showing is I have this particular item in my system. I essentially don't have it in stock, but they still want to purchase it. So I am telling the system, I need to order this. You are referencing a particular client, and you're going to order it from the vendor for them, that they're not taking it home today. So here, I'm just going to do Mr. Johnson again. I am going to give instructions. Basically put whatever you want in there. This is going to be so you can reference it later, so you have that information later. I'm going to say, for example, only one we had in stock was damaged. Please order. So that could be information for the person that does the ordering. That could be information that you want to have for the customer. Any other kind of documentation you want to track in the system, you can put in there. We're going to have the total due, balance due, discount shipping. If you're going to charge them shipping for a special order, you can always add that in there. If you want to give a discount amount or discount percentage, 10% discount, it's all going to show in there. We can change a ship to address. So if it's something that you are shipping directly to the client versus something that they are coming into the store to pick up, we can change that there as well. So now I've got a sales order. Now you notice back here in the order list, we've got the number one there telling us that we have one open order. You know it's open because it's red. But we could also, let's say, you want to take a deposit. It really depends on what the store wants. When we set up the preferences, we can say, thank you. We can say deposit's not necessary. We can say, hey, we suggest a certain percentage down for deposit, or we require a certain percentage down for the deposit. But it's really up to how you want to set up the system. So up here, I'm going to say, I want to take a deposit or a payment. So I click that button. It's going to pull up a deposit amount. I'm going to say, let's do a $50 deposit. It's going to say OK, and it's going to take me to a payment screen. Now here's where I would either charge a card, accept cash, etc. It's basically like a receipt, like you're ringing up a customer, but it's specific for only the deposit. So I'm going to do accept $50 payment, and I'm going to save that. Now you'll notice it'll update everything here. It shows total 127.86, and it shows balance due 77.86. So it shows that we've got our deposit balance up here in the right-hand side, and you should be able to see payment history. So it shows on today, we had a deposit of $50 cash and what's left over. So that's for a special order. Now, let's say they come in again and they want to purchase, they want to finish out the order. They've got the money, or the item came in, so on and so forth. And so we're going to go back to that purchase order, and we're going to say sell item. We're going to pick the item. If you had multiple items on the special order, let's say you ordered from multiple vendors and only one of them showed up, you could pick and choose the item and select all. I'm going to continue. Now it's going to take me back out to the main screen, but then it's going to take me into the receipt screen. So what that just did was it took that special order item, converted it to a sales receipt. You can always sell additional items. So if they came in, they're picking up their item, but they want to grab a couple other things, that's fine as well. We're just not going to do that today. And now it shows what they paid already and what's due. So here you could just take amount. And then I'm just going to say volume. So that is how you do a special order or sales order in the system. We did notice there were 3 different types of orders: layaway and work order. Layaway obviously is, someone is paying in installments for an item. What it'll do is if you add an item to a layaway, it'll take it out of your available quantity. It'll show that you have it in the store, but there is quantity on hand and available quantity. Basically meaning it holds that particular item. It says, maybe if you have 5 of them and you have 1 of them on layaway, it'll say quantity on hand is 5, available quantity is 4. So it essentially puts that aside until it's purchased. And then work order would be if you're doing any kind of physical work in the store. So a bike shop might have repairs as a work order because it's not something that anyone's really taking with them, but they're paying money for a service. So any kind of service type transactions that you're having in the system, you can sell it as a work order. You can still go into a standard receipt and sell, a repair or something as a line item. But this is the way that you can kind of separate out your work orders, your service type transactions out of your receipts. Any questions on that? Okay. So we're going to go into, as we're working on point of sale, up here, sales history. Okay, we've got done all those. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about inventory and how items are seen in the system. So we've already talked about creating an inventory item. We've talked about creating a purchase order and then turning it into a receiving voucher so items can be brought into your system. We've talked about making sales so items go out of your system. Now, how else can you get items in and out of your system? What happens if something gets stolen? What happens if something gets damaged and has to be returned to a vendor? What happens if you're donating something out to a charity? How do you do that in the system without doing a purchase order, without doing a sales receipt? So if we go up in inventory, we're going to go into quantity adjustment. Click on quantity adjustment. So what this is, it's a way for you to track changes in your inventory outside of your sales. So the default reasons are damaged, shrink, a quantity adjustment, or a cost adjustment. So shrink, obviously, something stolen, damage if it's a damaged item, or any other reason you can do quantity adjustment. So I'm going to say damaged. I'm going to say these particular items are damaged. Okay, so now I've got each of those items. I'm going to say it. You do comments down. New quantity. So it's saying new quantity. I'm going to say 3, 2, and 0. And you'll see it'll say difference in quantity. We've got -1, -2, -3. It just says those are less in the system. Down at the bottom right, you'll see the old quantity of the items, the new quantity, difference in cost, difference in quantity total. You can put the comments down there if you want to track, how are things damaged, why are they damaged, etc. And you can save it. So what that'll do is keep that paper trail that we always talk about, the item history, that paper trail of where things came from and how and why. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go into, let's take a look at this. So if we look at quantity adjustment history, it's going to pull every quantity adjustment we've ever done. And you'll see the data import. So this is my demo copy of the system. You'll notice it changed the number of items in the system because I did data imports or edited particular items. So any change in quantity that I did in the system at all, it's going to be recorded here. So we're going to look at these particular items. So let's see. Let's do 7240. So I'm looking up the SKU number, the item number of that item, so we can look it up in the item list and see what it looks like. So 7240. Here's that item that we just looked at. So edit or show details, either or. I like looking at edit because it makes a full screen as opposed to a quarter screen when you're looking at an item. There we go. And you'll see here, okay, it shows the quantity and cost adjustment. That's when I imported it. And just now we did an adjustment change right there of -2. It tells me what I have on hand left, the document number, and what happened to it. So there's that paper trail. So any kind of change in inventory control quantity, you can click on that and it'll bring me back to that document. What we don't want to do is go down here to on hand and just press 0. Because what that'll do is it will not track, what happened to it, where to go. And that can be in a retail store, although we hate to say it, theft is a very common thing in retail, and employee theft is unfortunately very common. And you want your employees to be able to go in there and manually change the quantity. So we want to be able to track, how everything happened, where it came from, and where it went. Okay, so speaking of employees and tracking what they're doing, let's go here to employees. So do employee list. Notice I just have sysadmin right now, but we're going to add some employees. So if I got a new employee, all that's really required is their login name. So I'm just going to give employee a login name. You can put all their information in here as much as you want. If you want to give them commission, if they get commission on particular items, you can give them a commission down here, commission percentage. If you are going to use QuickBooks Point of Sale to track your employee hours, you can click track this as an hourly employee. And you can go to custom if you want. You can put notes in for that particular employee as well, or create custom fields if there's any other kind of information you want to track for your employee. And also down here, you'll notice we have security group. So security groups are how we are going to both give and limit the rights to the employee in the point of sale system. So the 4 default are owner, manager, assistant manager, and associate. So in this case, we're just going to give them say a manager level. I'm going to save that. So now we've got Brandon in here, and I'm going to create one more employee. I'm going to create myself. Unfortunately, I am just an associate. Boo-hoo. Okay, now we've got a couple employees in there, and we're going to get out of here real quick. Go back to the dropdown and look at security. So when we talk about the security groups, here are the 4 security groups that are default in the system: owner, manager, assistant manager, and associate. And you'll notice we've got these checkboxes here. So these checkboxes tell the system this employee has this particular right to do in the system. There are literally hundreds and hundreds of them. And it can be very confusing as far as searching through all of these. So easiest thing to do is go up here to the view, and you'll see it'll break it out by different sections and different functionalities. So for example, in the rewards program, the owner and manager can access the reward manager. The assistant manager can manually issue or remove rewards, but the associate can only view and redeem. So when they ring up a customer, the reward. So it gives you that right to say, hey, I don't want my hourly employees seeing cost of goods, for example. Or I don't want my hourly employees being able to run financial reports or my assistant manager. So we can change whatever we want on here. So receipts, for example, this one. So edit item description on receipts. It allows the associate to change on the receipt what the item is. You can kind of go through these and see all the different things that you would want or not want your employees to do. What you can also do, save that and go back in, is we can actually create a new group. And we can assign specific rights to that particular group. So you can do a part-time. Maybe it's, your summertime, you've got some high school kids working for you part-time, and you only want them to do certain functionalities. Or maybe you have let's do this, back room. You have someone that only works in the back room that you want them to be able to do the accounting functionalities and the inventory control, but you don't want them necessarily being able to sell anything up front. You can set that up. You could also do it, very specifically. Timmy, because everyone's got a Timmy in their store. It's, someone's cousin's, boyfriend's, uncle's, niece that, is home from college that needs a part-time job that no one likes. Every store I've ever worked in has always had someone like that working for them. So you could, really drill down into individual employees of what rights they want and create that. Any questions so far on that? Okay. And finally, I'm going to talk about time clock. So if you're using QuickBooks Point of Sale as your time tracking, we can take a look down here. So we can clock in and out. So I can say, I'm going to clock in. And it shows that I have now clocked in. It shows how many employees you have currently working. You can see the green icon on number one. I'm going to clock in Brandon as well, so you can see multiple. Okay, we've got 2 employees. I can manage time clock. Going here, it shows who's working, when they clocked in, and how much time has elapsed. One of the security things you can do as well is limit employees' ability to manage the time clock. So they have to clock in and clock out. They can't go back in and manually adjust what time they came in or what time they clocked out. And you can see time clock history. And depending on how you want to, what view you want to see for the time period, you can see everyone that worked yesterday, when they clocked in, when they clocked out, everyone working today, or whatever time period that you would like. Now, when it comes to pushing this over into QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online, you would need to structure it. So there is some work to be done to make sure that the employee hours go into the right fields in the accounting software, but it's definitely doable. Now, it's not required to use the QuickBooks Point of Sale. We do have clients that use third-party time tracking, that use payroll in QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online, but it is a way to kind of have that all-in-one functionality for a system. So QuickBooks Point of Sale understands that within the greater QuickBooks universe, that a lot of people have their connections. A lot of people have the Point of Sale connected to their Pro or Premier or Enterprise, and now QuickBooks Online. But there's also a lot of mom and pop type stores that use Point of Sale as the end all be all to track their information. So it really has that ability to work on a really high level, connecting to other softwares and other third-party applications, or really be that meat and potatoes. Hey, we're just going to have one store and we're going to use point of sale for everything. So it wants that to have that flexibility, and it works for a wide variety of different business setups. All right, now got a couple minutes left. I can go into reports now, or we can take a look at tomorrow. What would we like to do? All right, well then let's jump into reports for a little bit. So reports is really where I think QuickBooks Point of Sale shines. We have all the data that we put in the system. We're making sales, but what can we get out of it? So the reporting function, as you see here, we're going to have a drop down or the report button here. So it says report center, dashboard, or drawer count. We're just going to go to the report center first. Okay, and here are all the different types of reports, as well as individual reports within that type. So we've got sales reports, we've got cash flow reports, payment reports, customers, items, purchasing, employees, financial exchange, memorize reports, etc. So this is going to allow you to basically see the financial health of your system. If your bookkeeper out there, or anyone to do with the finances, I feel like every software that we're in, reports are kind of the golden standard. I always look forward to reports. So, for example, in sales, we can look at our best and worst sellers, our item summary that tells you what your sales were by item department, or a date range. You can look at vendors, so you can see what are your best selling vendors, who's selling the most. Date comparison, year to date, year over year. How do you do in March versus May? You can run time reports, customers, and this is why getting the customer information, getting the emails, getting the phone numbers, getting the addresses is so important, because we've got these reports here where we can take a look at our sales volume by customer. We can look at a zip code summary. So, as long as you're getting the address of the customer and their zip code, you can see, hey, 85% of our business is coming from these 3 zip codes. Let's focus our marketing there. Or let's focus, or if we're looking to open a new store, maybe we're looking towards that direction, something along those lines. Promo code summary. So if you're giving promo codes, you can track what customers are using what promo codes. Customer type, if you set up a customer type, segment out your customers, be it a warehouse or a wholesale customer versus a retail customer, etc. We've also got work order details, layaway details. You can track your customer sales orders. And then rewards program, rewards history. Items, you can see your evaluation of your inventory. If you're in the state that has inventory taxing, you can see how much you actually have. You can see a summary of your current inventory. Purchasing, if you're using purchase orders and receiving vouchers, you can see what's on hand, what's coming in. Cash requirements. So if you have terms with your vendors, what cash requirements will do is it'll actually take, let's take a look at this one. It'll actually take what you have on order versus when it's coming in, when the ship dates are, when the cancel dates are, and it'll tell you what money you're going to need to pay out based on your receiving vouchers or based on your purchase orders due to your dating. Which I always found really handy when I was in retail, because okay, we've got a big a big check to write in March, so we know we need to ramp up before then, etc. Now let's just look at a really basic report. Sorry, go back in the report center. Go all reports. And also, you don't really need to get in the report center if you don't want to. With the report drop down, you'll see we've got the reports built in right there. So let's just go here. Let's go sales detail. I'm on both reports. Take a second, it's grabbing information. Okay, so this is, do it from today, just because We did it today. We apply the date range. That's everything. So these are the transactions that we did earlier. We've got the deposit on the order. We've got the actual sale. We've got the return. So it's going to have what the receipt number is, the date, the customer name, quantity sold, total payments, etc. You can modify all these reports as well. So you can say modify, and it's going to say you can add or remove columns, filter the data. So we're going to add or remove columns. So here's the other information, other column information that you can add. So if you want to know what time, you want to know store, workstation, cashier, any of that you can add, or within details for the items, size and attribute. So details is for the inventory items itself that you sold. Columns is for the customer and environmental information. So what store, location, workstation, cashier, the customer itself. So you can add whatever you want, save it, run it again. And highlight that. And now we've got the item information, we've got all that, etc. And what you can do as well is if you're, filtering out your particular report, hey, here's this particular data that I like. Here's the time frame that I like. Here is the view that I like. Here's how I want to see it. I want to have the totals over here. I want the name. I don't know why you ever want a report to look strange like this. But what you could do is say, I want to memorize this report, and I can say this is favorite. So I'm going to save that. And now what I can do is I can click on reports. I can go to memorize reports, and I've already got that report built in. So I don't have to go back in and filter all the data again and change the appearance again. I can just click on that report right away. In my experience using QuickBooks, of the 100+ reports that they have, I always found about maybe 5 that I use, multiple times a day, and maybe 15 total that I would use on a given week that really got the information that I wanted, and I would save them under my memorized reports. Now, depending on how you set it up, you can look at as many reports as you want or as few, but as you kind of play with it a little bit and view a bunch of different reports as you get more data into your system, you'll find the ones that are going to work the best for you. Now, what you can do with those is you go to dashboard, you got your report dashboard. And what this allows you to do is take your most popular reports, the reports that you really want to look at every day, and put them all into one place. So we've got a department sales graph, our sales over time, which is a line graph. We've got our best-selling items. We've got sales year over year. So this really is kind of a quick view of, if you're used to QuickBooks Online, it's kind of like the dashboard at the front. Same idea, where you've got all your data right there where you want to see it, so you don't have to print out or set up a bunch of individual reports to take a look at, move to Excel, let's toggle through different screens. It puts it all here on one place. All right, well, we've made some sales. We've done some sales orders, layaways. We've taken a look at reports. We've done security and employees. Any other questions today before we wrap it up?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, well, then thank you so much for your time yet again, and hopefully we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, thanks, Brandon.
Yep.